Technology is a complex and volatile industry. That is why it's high time to step up and call bullshit on big tech firms that only spew information that benefits them. This is With Absolute Specificity, the program that's unafraid to shoot from the hip about all things tech and marketing. Get your dose of accurate information with a generous portion of humor right here. Get frank wisdom and plain-spoken facts straight from the source with host Jason A. Wood. You can count on him to bring the harsh yet practical truths to the surface. Get ready for another episode of With Absolute Specificity.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to With Absolute Specificity, a podcast all about doing shit on purpose. Today, we've got Brandon T. Adams with us, and we're honored to have him on the show today. We're going to get into a lot of stuff, but it's customary when you bring on a guest to share with the audience some of their accolades or a lot of their accolades. And with Brandon T. Adams, you can't really do that because it's only about a half an hour show. But I'm going to give you some highlights. This guy's 32 years old, and he's done more shit already than most of us will do our whole career. Dude's been on 300 podcasts, over 300 podcasts, over 70 TV shows. Emmy Award-Winning TV producer, not once, not twice, multiple times, as you see in the background there. He's partnered with one of the original Shark Tanks, Kevin Harrington, to create a business that takes, in part, equity shares in companies and helps them take off like greased lightning. And frankly, that's how we met Brandon T. Adams, was in that endeavor. We've engaged him and Kevin to help us at Specificity get our business where we want to take it. And they've been instrumental in launching not only this podcast, but many other facets to our marketing. But Brandon, where I'd like to start is Rise and Record. And here's why I want to start there. In my career, I have always been skeptical of sales coaches, motivational speakers, because a lot of these people are people that couldn't do it for themselves. So they started coaching, the old adage, those who can't teach. But here's my experience of Rise and Record. And this isn't a commercial. This is a true story. I decided to send two of my director level people down there, both very young on our team, both very instrumental in our business. Send them down there, let them go check out Rise and Record with Brandon and his wife. They put on a great event. They come back to me, and I'm the CEO of Specificity, with spiral binders of shit we're going to change with our company, things we're going to do moving forward, attitudinal shifts we're going to affect. So here's my first question to you, Brandon. What the hell are you putting in the drinks down there? Tell me about Rise and Record. What the hell is going on?
Jason, thank you. I always love talking to you, man. You know, from the first time we met, we hit it off right away. But, you know, Rise and Record is something my wife and I created. And I'll just kind of give the background of it. We started creating video content almost a decade ago. We had moved to Des Moines, Iowa, and I bought a Canon 70D, and we were filming content. And I told Sam, my wife, we were just dating at the time, we're going to document everything we do, the ups and the downs. And we showed the shit that wasn't working. We showed the wins. We showed the losses. And I got, back when I didn't wear a black shirt every day, you got pictures of me in blue and red. And I'm like crying almost in some videos. But we documented the journey. And this is before I even started creating TV shows. And then I started producing TV shows, doing more content. And the whole Rise and Record theme is rising up and sharing your story, specifically through video. And why is it important to do that? Well, one, your message is powerful and can help other people. But we found when you start sharing your message and you start sharing what you do for a living, how your company can help people, specifically through video, it can help you get more clients. It can help you raise money. It can help you do all these different things. So Rise and Record is an event that we do every year. It's in Nashville, where we bring in speakers, we bring in talent, we have some fun. They share their story, but these entrepreneurs share how they use video to grow their business and how you can do it too. So that's Rise and Record. And it all started with a camera and my wife and I being fun and creative.
Yeah, I think most of the stuff you do started with the camera. But, you know, one of the interesting things for me that came out of Rise and Record and that venue you put together, a lot of these types of venues and these overly produced venues, they bring in a lot of cliche, right? They bring in a lot of these people, and it's just all about this, and it's a strategy they want to sell you, and it's all of that. What really intrigued me about Rise and Record, and I don't know if I've told you this, but I am definitely going to be personally in attendance next year. I'm going to be there. What my team brought back to me was the heart. And that really surprised me because they shared with me some of the speakers that you engaged. And these weren't cliched corporatist people with, get up at 5 a.m, hit it hard, and all the cliched shit we hear in business, ABC of sales and all that shit. It was real, like gut wrenching, man, this is what I had to go through to get where I wanted to go. And these people just shared. How do you attract in your life the type of people that have not just the skill set, Brandon, not just the success, but the heart and the willingness to share that side of the experience, man?
Two things. One, like, I believe what you put out to the world is what you're going to attract, the energy. But also, I am the kind of person that I can't, like, if I can't consider inviting somebody over to dinner with my family and like breaking bread together, I don't want to do business with them. I want them to be somebody I'm just going to have fun with, enjoy, and have a real good meaning behind it. And also, I want to be around people that want to be the best at what they do. They want to strive, because for me, I'm very driven. I'm motivated to be the best at what I do for anything that I take on. And I want to be around A players. And so go back to Rise and Record. You look at just a couple people. I mean, John Lee Dumas, Entrepreneurs on Fire, he became a friend of mine years ago. I helped him raise a bunch of money for his book. And he's one of the top podcasters in the world. He's generated, I think, $27 million in revenue from a podcast show. So he's one of the top in that area. Brian Kelly, he's, billions of views. He created, he was part of Florida Georgia Line, became the Beach Cowboy, one of the top musicians out there. I wanted the top person to be in my world and to provide value to my audience. That's my way of life. You look, Kevin Harrington, obviously we're involved for Specificity on part of the team, and he's a good friend and partner of mine. Kevin Harrington, he has taken 1,000 products to market, created them commercially, yes, on Shark Tank, all these different things. But he is the top in my mind in the world for what he does. So I always wanted to surround myself with the right people. And how did I get into business with them? How did I get them into my world, get them on my stages? Is I found a way to add value to them. Everything comes down to value. I can't tell you how many times, Jason, people reach out to me. They DM me, they send me a message. They want money. They want something. They want an introduction. They want something from me. How many people reach out to these other influential people and somebody wants something from them? Flip the script. You want to get somebody's attention. You want to get into a relationship with them. You help them. You make them money. You pay them. You add value. You help them achieve their goals. And then they will get in your circle. But most people, they want the quick fix. You got to be in for the long game.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And, I've dealt with that in my own career. I've had several businesses myself. And you can always tell the difference between somebody that wants to partner with you and build something and go do something that's going to be valuable and something that's going to be profitable for everybody. You can always tell the difference between people looking to do good business and the people that just want to win every transaction. And the people that want to win transaction are always struggling for that next transaction. So yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. So I can't wait for Rise and Record next year. I'm going to be there. Now I want to move on to content creation, because you and I kind of had, at least 6 to 8 months ago when we first got together, a very differing opinion on this. And I've really come around, at least in large part, not all the way, but in large part, to your way of thinking on this. But before I do, I want to ask you something about something that I just find interesting. And I think our audience will find it interesting too. Talk to me about why you always wear a freaking black shirt, man. Tell the story why Brandon T. Adams always has on the same damn clothes. Now, I'm sure you have multiple black shirts, or at least I hope. I've never been around you where I caught an odor. So, but tell everybody why you do. What's the thing?
It's funny. My wife just did a video on her Instagram, and it showed the closet, because she asked me what I wanted for Christmas, and I said black T-shirt, black jeans, and black Timberland shoes, which I have. By the way, I own probably 50 black T-shirts. I own 30 pairs of these jeans, and I own 4 of the shoes. And she thought that was so funny, but why do I do it? There's a couple reasons. One, I started doing this in 2018 when we were actually filming for the show Success in Your City. We were traveling around the country. And I remember thinking about what I had to wear for different scenes. And like, I had to wear a blue shirt, and we would film sometimes 5 to 8 scenes in a day. So think about it. You got to wear all these different things and what I'm going to wear. I got really quite annoyed by that. And I thought, why? Why does it matter? And the other part of it is I had always found like successful people. Like you look at certain people out there, they wear the same clothing. I know Mark Zuckerberg does like the gray shirt. You look at Steve Jobs, he did the black shirt. I saw, why did they do that? They do it because it's proven when you have to think about what you have to wear, you're actually burning your brain power focus on something that doesn't fucking mean anything. And so I realized I wanted to take away things, less things to have to think about that didn't bring me any value, like what I had to wear every day. And I just went all in. Black every day. I mean, every once in a while, you'll see me for a special occasion. My wife will get me a shirt. She says, you got to wear this. But I wear black every day. I don't have to think about it. I just put it on. It's easy to travel. It makes my life easy. And it's simplicity. I think the most successful entrepreneurs find ways to basically eliminate the petty little bullshit things that take up their brain power. And they focus strictly on making the moves that actually help them get to their goals.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a ton of sense from a content creation perspective. I know I struggle with that. I'll never do it. I mean, I just don't have that in me to do it. You know, you're younger and better looking, so you can pull it off, man. At my age, I need help with clothes, brother. I don't know what to, you know, I got to wear Armani shit just to dress this up a little, you know? I mean, when you're 32, good looking and already on top of the world, I guess, you know, white beater t-shirts all day if that's what you want to do. But from a content perspective, it makes sense because, you know, we do content here at Specificity. I've got a TikTok page, a bunch of followers, and it's more convenient to bring down my guy that films it in a day and just try to shoot 8-10 pieces of content and then share it over, you know, a period of time. And to your point, it's a pain in the ass because you don't want to, you know, I don't want to wear this shirt on a piece on Monday and then again on Wednesday and then again on Thursday. It doesn't look right. It doesn't play right. The black t-shirt solves all of that challenge. I mean, I can see that. So let's move on to that. When I first met you and we were talking about content and we were talking about in the context of specificity, you were telling me that I needed to put out content in volume and not worry so much about necessarily the quality of content, but volume and content is king and all of that. From my perspective, I'm like, what the fuck's this guy talking about? Shitty content isn't going to do a damn thing. And then as our relationship evolved and I started looking at your social media and Kevin Harrington's social media, and I'm watching, and I'm just watching what you guys are doing. And sometimes these videos are just saying hi to your audience. Other times it's really core value proposition stuff. Other times it's, hey, I want to introduce you. And I'm watching your following grow and grow and grow. And I'm like, all right, this guy's onto something. So where is the line in volume of content where it becomes the point of diminishing returns in your view? Or does that even exist when it comes to volume of content?
I honestly, I don't think I've seen somebody where I said, oh, you're doing too much content. I think content is king. And think about this, like when you post a video. So like if I go post a video right now on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever, like the percent of people that actually, beyond like the avid fans and followers, the percent of people that actually of your audience, unless you're paying for it, that actually see your content is a very, maybe it's not even 10% of your following. Right. See, when you think about that, if I'm going to post 2 or 3 videos a day, I'm more likely to reach my following. I'm more likely to get in front of the right people. Content is king. Now, don't just be posting shit and not like having something of value in the videos. I mean, I do believe like I'll do Instagram stories, and a story is really kind of bringing people in your life. The best way I put it is like your own reality TV show. People on social media can follow and see inside your life. So I'll show when I'm traveling, I'll show some tips along the way. But then regular posts are more thought out. It's best tips, best advice, your thoughts on life, your thoughts on how to do a certain thing. And more importantly, look at what do you want to be known for? So like, what do you want your brand to be? What do you, people that are following you, what do you want them to know you as? Because if they know you as a certain thing, they know they can go to you for that. So if you want to be known as a marketing expert, what are you going to do? You're going to share free content around marketing. You're going to show them when you're with past prior clients or clients now, marketing strategies. That's case studies. You're going to not just tell them, you're going to show them what you do. Because when they see that constantly, what's going to happen is that's going to build in their mind that, oh, Jason is the marketing expert. If you ever need marketing services, who are you going to go to? Jason. They might not buy from you, but they might tell their friends about you. And right. Again, going back to, I'm always a long game. There is content that I posted 7-8 years ago, back when I was branding myself as a crowdfunding expert. People still reach out to today about that, but now they know what I do, and those people end up hiring me. So it's a long game. Think about if you're investing in stock, That's one thing. You get a return over time for most cases. If you invest in video content and your digital footprint online over time, you will get returns. And I always say it takes one viewer to turn into your next $1 million view, a $1 million deal. You don't need 1 million followers. You need the right followers. You can go out today and you can buy thousands of followers. You can buy a following. I've never done that. I have the right people that follow me, and those people, those eyeballs turn into dollars. They turn into opportunity. So make sure you're getting the right followers. How do you get them? By consistently creating video content.
Yeah, and the right followers is exactly right. That kind of correlates to kind of like our core message, specificity, audience build out. So, when it comes to strategy for us, like take this podcast, for example, where we're launching this thing, here we go. I'm not interested in having 1.2 million followers, 1.19, which don't give a fuck about the content that we're disseminating or give a shit about it. That's busy work to me. I'd rather have 5,000 followers of chief marketing officers, of professionals, of experts, of, potential vendors that can add value to us. And I think that's missed a lot. You know what I mean? I just think that's missed a lot. I think people get caught up in the content game about mass and volume of following and not quality. So I think that's an excellent point.
Niche, specific.
Yeah. And that really parlays into the next transition to the next subject that I want to talk about. A lot of people don't, in marketing space, content space, shy away from this conversation. And I love that you don't. I've read a lot of your stuff, and I'm like you in this regard, and that's money. At the end of the day, people like, they get really clammed up when you talk about money. And I don't understand it, because what I tell all of our prospective clients is that, look, we are really dope at digital marketing, audience building, all this stuff. We're great. We're good. We can do this. Here's the strategy, da-da-da. But ultimately, what I'm here to sell you isn't all of that. That's the vehicle. What I'm here to sell you is money. You give me some, I return you a lot. And in my personal life, I'm kind of an enigma when it comes to money, because I've always demanded of myself to make as much of it as I could, because that's how we keep scoring business as to whether or not we win money. But I'm a guy that doesn't give a shit about the money. I don't have 3 Porsches in the garage because I don't care about that stuff. None of that shit matters to me. It's just the metric with which we keep score.
I love that you brought this up, because I've been talking about this a lot lately. I did a post this morning about just generational wealth and building wealth. And it's not about, again, I'm like you, I wear the same thing every day. I don't have no Lamborghini or fancy cars. Like, that's not my thing. It's about you being the best at what you do. And as you make more money, you have more power to do more good with the world. And also, it's keeping score a little bit of, hey, you're mastering your thing and you're doing it at the highest level. And so for me, I really believe in that. I believe it's your duty to be the best you can be at what you do and charge what you're worth. A lot of people don't. And as you said, like, let's say, Jason, if I give you $100,000 and in return, you give me $500,000 from the things that you provide for me, that's a huge win. And so I think a lot of people get caught up. It's more insecurities and not knowing their self-worth and what they actually do, the confidence of what they're doing, which means that they lack in the amount of money they make. And so I believe if you have confidence, if you have talent, and you're willing to work hard, and you put the right resources together to provide value, you can make a shit ton of money. You can help a lot of people. And at that point, you name your price. And so I'm a big believer in that. And people that say money's in everything, like, money isn't everything, but being broke don't do shit for you. Like, I've been broke. I've been close to bankruptcy. And when you don't have fucking money to provide for your family, or food, that is, there is no like proudness in being broke. And so unless you've experienced that, you don't know what I'm talking about. That's why I believe in wealth.
Yeah, and listen, I've experienced it too. I get it. And the saying goes, money won't buy happiness, but the lack of it will sure as fuck make you miserable. So there's that like balance point, But you get into these dynamics, and I know you see it, and it happens in my experience in the bigger cities, right? So I lived on Harbor Island in Tampa, and that's a very different experience than when I lived in St. Pete. And that's a very different experience now that I'm one of the suburbs out a little south of Tampa. But you run into these people that you can just tell spend so much time, money, and effort crafting a bullshit facade that most people can spot 15 miles away, and it does them no good. And that's such a waste of effort, such a waste of talent. So to that end, if you can craft that bullshit facade so perfectly, why can't you just go build a brand and make it real, right? I mean, isn't that the
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah, I like to call out. I mean, I have a love-hate relationship with the whole word influencer. Because like there's like, yes, I'm a person of influence for certain people. And there's influencers. Like I know the YouTube influencers, all those people, they have millions of followers. And that's one thing. But I also know there's a lot of influencers that have millions of followers and they don't make much money. But also then there's the people that take the pictures in front of the jets, in front of the cars and everything. And I can see like, hey, you got it and you're showing what you've created, but there's a way to do it. There are some people where I like to call the bullshit out, especially when people are saying, and this is a whole nother tangent, Jason, you got me rolling now. When people say, I make this much money a day, or I'm a 7-figure entrepreneur, or an 8-figure entrepreneur, I've done this. I like to call it out. I like to say, okay, how much do you take home? Taxes, expenses, everything else. How much are you? Like, there's so many technical things that the average person sees this and they think, oh, but they don't actually know the actual real numbers. I'm the kind of guy that calls that shit out, and I will never be the person that leads astray because I'll say exactly how it is because I think that stuff's bullshit. I think people need to actually know. Like, I'll give you an example. Go back to my buddy, John Lee Dumas. I have so much respect for the guy. He has been posting for a decade now on his website, his profit and loss. He literally, as a public company, you obviously got to state that. He does it. And he's an entrepreneur, and every month he shows you how much money he brings in, exactly where it came from, what his costs are, everything. And
I love it.
So, and he's, I think on average, $250,000 a month or whatever it is. But like, he's just showing you the real of it, the balance sheet. Here's what I do. Here's what you can do. And I'm bringing you behind the curtains.
Right. I do it, but it's by proxy because I have to file quarterly returns with the SEC. So I don't have a choice. Our balance sheet is out there for everybody to see. Let me ask you this, Brandon. So let's get into the marketing world here. So I've always been a believer, and this has been my entire career in marketing, sales, and all of it, that there is no silver bullet. I believe that the best marketing campaigns I've ever been a part of, or that I've ever seen, or that I've ever been in charge of, whatever role that I've played, whether it be ancillary or direct, have encompassed several components that just worked well together. And that doesn't always happen, right? So we can sign a deal with a client that has an agency, and that agency is protectionist. And their job, their mission from day one is to get the digital guys out because they're trying to protect, for example, that traditional ad spend. And I always watch those agencies after those deals conclude. And almost every time you see a decline in the revenue and in the client base and in their retention model, because that's just a piss poor way to operate because it doesn't really advocate for the client. So in our world, what we try to find, what I personally try to find, and that's how we found you guys. That's why we partnered with you so quickly. I mean, I think it took a few weeks of conversation and man, we had a deal in place and let's rock and roll. We try to find partners. We try to find people that want to get on the same mission as us, play their part for here. We've got other people playing the part over here. Our role is, here in the center and try to get that to gel. It's almost like putting together a football team. You can have all the A-star talent you want, but if the team doesn't gel, you've got nothing, right? So what's your experience in terms of marketing and getting involved in projects where you've seen it gel or you've seen it not gel despite the level of talent involved?
Well, going to the analogy of like a football team, like I was a captain of the football team, all-state DN. So like I saw like, like, come on now. But like, I see the team and here's what I'll tell you. I look at my senior year, we lost our starting quarterback. We lost our starting like tackle, 3 or 4 people. And I saw the team starting to fall apart and then we had to rebuild and I had to really instill confidence in certain people. But I look at a team, when you have an all-star team, you need to work in harmony and you need to work together because I could bring the best people together. But if we have a bunch of chiefs in the room and we can't work collaboratively, we're not going to get shit done. And so for marketing, I look at who's your expert. For me, in our team, like I'm the expert producer, video marketing expert. And then we have our digital team. We have our kind of PR team. We have our insight team. We have all the different aspects of this. And so we work in perfect harmony and not everything's going to work. I believe in, you try multiple things. Obviously you're focused in on who your direct avatar is. But if you try enough things, you know you're going to win. That's been my philosophy. I know today, if I'm working with somebody, I need some time. It may not happen in the first month, but 6 months from now, 8 months from now, I might have it dialed in where I'm helping them get huge results because you're trying different things. It comes back to work too. You have to put the work in and you actually do the research on it. So to sum up, it's having the dream team working in perfect harmony and collaboratively where they have a group together and just putting in the work with it. Because again, if you don't put in the work, my old saying is work beats talent every time.
Absolutely.
So hard work always wins.
Yeah. You know, you brought something up, and I want to get your opinion on something a little bit adjacent to something you were just talking about. Ever since this iOS update, right, and big tech, they can't target anymore. Ad agencies are really struggling. The Facebooks and Instagrams, that gave traditional ad agencies a vehicle to submerge their clients into the digital space without really having to acquire digital talent, right? And it was great. I mean, they could target audiences and do all these things in the digital medium. And they didn't have to hire programmers, full stack developers. They didn't have to leverage software and become experts in all of those things that a traditional ad agency really doesn't have the wherewithal to do or the core competency to do. What we're seeing now when we partner with ad agencies, and I'd love to get your take on this, and I know we're coming up against it here time-wise. What we're seeing a lot of is this really big shift with agencies that we're working with to shift client spend out of executionable, quantifiable, trackable marketing and back into branding and creative. And let me give you my take, and then I'd love to have your. We've already talked about this, and I just want to prep the audience for where I stand because I think you have a very unique perspective on this. For me, as a digital marketer and as a conversion strategy guy, what we say all the time is I can take mediocre creative to a hyper-targeted audience, an audience of high likely buyers, and I can make you money. But I can't take the dopest creative in the world to an audience that doesn't give a shit about your product and convert a single thing. And that to me is so telling as to where the focus ought to be. Now, ideally, the dopest creative with the right audience is where you want to land.
Perfect.
Right? But what would you say about this paradigm shift as these agencies are pulling back from digital because the engagement metrics are slipping, and now they're going back into this world, this 7-year-old, 10-year-old world of, you have a $500,000 marketing budget or $1 million marketing budget. We need to spend half of it on a brand redesign and a rebrand and new logos. Like, what do you think, man? What's your perspective on that?
Well, this conversation is exactly why we're partners with Specificity, because I see it's a shit show what happened with the iOS update and everything, not being able to actually target the people you want to. But think about me. If I'm speaking English and I'm promoting to a Spanish speaking audience, what the fuck's that going to do for me? What is that going to do for me? I'm not speaking to the right people. So I believe you need to be able to speak to the right people, not just spray a bunch of marketing dollars and just pray it's going to work. You need to speak to the right people. Now on the branding side, I do believe you should be investing money in the brand, but it's a long-term play. It's not going to happen overnight. So I could create a video with my phone. Let's just say a video with my phone versus a high production shoot. I can create a video with my phone. If I have the right kind of messaging in that video and who I'm speaking to, and you plug that into a system that goes in front of the right audience, that's going to convert. Now, I could do a high production shoot and do the same thing. And there's a time and place for that, but you don't need to start there. You literally can start with content from your phone, and over time, you can build that brand. So if I was going to say anything, I would say, yes, you got to invest money in the brand. It's a long-term play, but you also need to make sure you're investing money so you're speaking to the right audience, and you're not just putting a bunch of marketing dollars out there and praying you're going to find one of those winners. It's not going to work that way.
What would you say to a guy like me that in my world and in my space, I believe in building a brand too, right? I clearly name recognition, fundamental understanding of a company's core mission, core value proposition, articulated sales arguments for the product, whatever the case may be, depending on the type of the company. But for us, because of the massive adoption rates with social media across so many mediums, that I fundamentally believe that branding is no longer what you tell an audience your brand is. It's what they tell each other. Therefore, what really drives brand awareness is a robust conversion strategy, because when you convert the right audience and they tell their friends and they tell their friends, that is a dramatically or frankly exponentially faster way to grow brand awareness. But it's done so in a way that's not so corporatist, because you know what, until you see markets where companies come out and their market position is in a given market, well, we're not the best and we're not the worst, we're kind of in the middle, and that's their value proposition, or our shit is really not very good quality, but it's cheap. Until companies start talking like that with audiences, everything they say is a Me Too statement. Best quality, fastest delivery, best price, all this shit. It's a Me Too statement. So I think consumers, because of social media, look at brand elements and core value propositions put out by brands, and they don't believe it. They look at any industry. Ford's got the best truck, so does Chevy, so does Toyota, so does Kia. They've all got the best cars. J.D. Power and Associates gives them all an award because they all pay for it, right? So I think consumers, because of social media and the awareness they're gaining from one another, they're skeptical of a brand message coming from the company, but not when it comes from each other.
Oh, to add to that, which is so true, because what do they say? What people say about you and not around is what your brand message, what your brand is, and who you are. So that's one thing. But the other thing is, why don't you take, this is what we do, take your success stories with your company, people that have had massive success and achieved their results that they wanted, put them in front of the camera and let them talk about you versus you talk, because that, my friends, is what will drive the conversion. Tell them not only to share what it was like working with you, but them sharing how their life has changed and where they're going. Because ultimately, what do people want? People buy into the end result. They buy into what they want. So when you see somebody else that worked with you and they say, wow, I was here and this company, Specificity, took me here, other people watch and they can see that person and they see, I see part of myself in that person. I want to be that person in this story. So then they hire you. That sells too.
Yeah. No, that's a great perspective. And I knew you'd have some insight on that. I just think that we're just in a time with technology in conjunction with consumer awareness. I think social media has both dumbed down and heightened the awareness of consumers. I think it's a dichotomy. So I think in certain arenas, it has certainly dumbed down. Social media has certainly dumbed down people because they believe everything they read on Facebook or Instagram wholesale. Well, if there's a video of it, so it must be true, right? So there's some of that. But I think that the net effect of social media in terms of branding and marketing has been that they can gain perspectives about companies, products, and brands, that they don't have to listen to the company anymore to get that understanding. I don't have to follow, Aston Martin anymore, because I can just type it in TikTok and watch 30 videos of guys that just bought one tell me what they think of it in real time. And that's so much more impactful, to your point. Stick those people in front of the camera.
Well, you think too, like, ever watch an Apple ad, like for Apple computer or Apple products? If you watch it, like, you don't even see until the end what they're actually talking about. They're just showing people that are living better versions of themselves and achieving different things. So what are they selling? They're selling the result to you and the lifestyle and being this vibe. Steve Jobs was one of the greatest marketers of all time. From what I hear, he was kind of a piece of shit person. He didn't treat people well, but I do know he's a great marketer, or he was, that is. And so he understood how to communicate the end result to people. So I've read the books around what he's done, everything. And I always think of that. It's like, show people the end result, show them the end result and get them where they want to go. And they will pay you. At that point, there is no price. I mean, I've given probably $30,000 to Apple over my lifetime.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, absolutely. For me, the measure of an entrepreneur doesn't reside in just the balance sheet. It also resides in the opinions of the people that went on the same mission of that entrepreneur. Yes. So you can always tell the entrepreneur mentality by how they refer to their people. If you get an entrepreneur, this is my employees, my engineers, my this, my that, versus entrepreneurs that say my team, my people. You can always know, in my view, people that refer to their team as their team and not their employees. That's an entrepreneur that
so true.
Experience their people have every single day coming to work. So we're running low on time. I know you're a busy guy, Brandon, but I want to run through this. What do you got coming down the pipe for us in 2023, brother? What's going down?
So I'm enjoying life. I'll tell you that, Jason. I'm really on my groove of things. I'm creating a lot of content. We got looking at doing a docu-series and start the spring of next year. Got Rise and Record coming. It's October 17th through the 19th in Nashville, Tennessee. So excited for that. I'm glad to hear you're going to be joining us.
I'll be there.
And then also, I mean, I always love getting better at what I do, mastering my talent, and providing that value to partners like you to help grow companies. Because ultimately, I am competitive. I'm a former football player, athlete. I played rugby. Like, I always want to win. I always look at it Super Bowl. I want to win the Super Bowl. I never want to lose. So I want to come with the most value to help my partners win in life. And so that's what I got in the pipeline.
Well, I can certainly attest to that, man. I mean, we've been working together 6 or 8 months. You and I, as you know, talk 2-3 times every single week. You're always available when I'm doing something. I'm like, Brandon would know the answer to this. And so we appreciate your partnership. I value your friendship. Brandon, thanks so much for your time today, dude. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, my man.
Thank you.
All right, brother. We'll talk soon. Have a great one.
You've just listened to another episode of With Absolute Specificity. Stay updated on big tech with insights from industry thought leaders. What are you waiting for? Catch more episodes by visiting the website at www.specificityinc.com. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on future releases.